You're listening to Where You Live with Gene Sullivan.
Welcome back to Where You Live. I'm Gene Sullivan, broadcasting from the True North Painting Studios. The show brought to you by Extreme Exteriors and American Family Insurance, the Kim Bennett Agency. As an American Family agent, Kim believes that there's so much more to insurance than the policy itself. It's about providing you with dependable protection and services. Kim believes that trust and credibility can't be demanded. It can only be earned by what you say and what you do. Give her a call at 651-482-1598 and tell her Gene sent you. We're going to jump right back. We've been discussing with attorney Dan Greenstein from Burnick Lifson, dealing with some common misconceptions that association boards can have. In their efforts to try and save a buck or two here or there, they try to do things alone instead of leaning on those professional relationships they have with their attorney, their CPA, their management company. Dan, let me bring up another one, get your thoughts on this that I've seen, and I'm dealing with an association where this is the case right now. They have an employee. Actually, the employee really is theirs. They have it in our name as the management company. A lot of people do that, but it's in name only. I can't direct these people, this person. Only they can. And they want to fire this person, but they're not involving anybody else, and it is really a mess. Let's talk about the idea of trying to fire an employee or a vendor without seeking proper advice and help.
Well, you know what, Gene? I don't myself practice in that area of the law, but what I can tell you is that I know enough that if I had an employee that needed to be fired, I wouldn't do it myself without seeking good counsel, because it's one of the most litigated areas of the law now, which are claims by employees for wrongful termination or discrimination or a breach of some kind of employment agreement. It's a very technical area of the law. It involves all kinds of federal statutes and regulations as well as the ones in the state, and it's just beyond the scope of what a normal board member is going to be familiar with or know. You know, we live in a very complicated world all of a sudden, and it's not like the old days where you do things on the handshake, and if you're unhappy with the way an employee is performing, you simply let them go. It's far more complicated now.
And that even falls true for the vendor as well. I mean, if you have a contractual agreement, you need to know when's going to be the best financially for you to be able to do that.
A lot of people will call up their attorney and they'll say, here's this contract I have with a vendor, get me out of it. Well, the time to protect yourself is before you sign it, not down the road when there's a problem. It's far more difficult, and attorneys can help, but you know what? There's no magic. It's either something's in the contract or it's not.
Yeah, and you can't let emotions be what control you at that point. You've got to take a look at things. And that's probably one of the hardest things, isn't it, for an attorney to try and convey to someone. They'll say, but this isn't right. And you're saying, yes, it has nothing to do with right. It has everything to do with trying to have you stay intact financially as whole as possible, right?
Absolutely. It's a lot of things are emotional, and a lot of times the board will definitely want to know what action they want to take. And one of the things a good attorney will talk to you about is, well, does this make financial sense? Is this a good risk for you to take? And even if you win, do you come out economically ahead? There's oftentimes a client will come into an attorney's office angry, upset, frustrated, and want to initiate a lawsuit. And, most smart attorneys will have them sit back and take a breather and reevaluate the situation before just launching a lawsuit and starting to spend lots and lots of money.
Yeah. Yeah. So the idea here that we're trying to convey, if anything, is, if you've taken the time to put together a professional team around you, use them as a resource. Don't be afraid, because in the long run, you're going to save yourself money, not cost yourself money.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, Dan, thanks so much for taking some time to be on the show today. Appreciate it, as always.
You're very welcome.
That was attorney Dan Greenstein with Bernick Lifson. We've got just a couple minutes left in the show. I want to just cover real quickly one other story here that happened here in South Minneapolis, covered in the Star Tribune a little bit earlier this year. I don't know if you saw it, but there is a woman who is renting in a condominium association. She has a dog named Nano. And Nano is just this little 11-pound ball of fur called a Pt.2. I've not heard of this dog before, but looks like a cute enough little dog. Apparently, Ms. Patrick was coming back from a walk, and Nano accidentally got off leash and jumped up on the mail carrier. At the time that this incident happened, there were, I think, other people around too. What everybody agreed was, hey, the dog jumped up on her. The person didn't say, ouch, I got bit. The person wasn't afraid. The person just stood there. She picked up the dog. She said, oh, I'm so sorry that Nano got lost, got off leash, and that was it. However, things the next day were so much different. All of a sudden, the very next day, Minneapolis Animal Control came knocking on the door of Ms. Patrick's home. And it was the mail carrier who had reported that Nano had sniffed at her, jumped up, and bit her on the inner thigh, causing her to go to urgent care that later day. Now, Animal Control did not take photos, and it's important to note that Animal Control has not offered, even to date, any evidence of a bite. However, because this person's with the U.S. Postal Service, what ended up happening following was that no mail was being delivered to the entire homeowner association. Neighbors everywhere in the condo were getting upset, saying, hey, what's going on? What's happening here? They had to call, and over a couple-week period had no response. Finally, the post office said, yeah, well, it's because of this dog, Nanu. Either the dog goes, or you have to get a P.O. box P.O. box number here at the post office and pick up your mail that way, because we're not delivering it there anymore. Unbelievable. And all of this, it's caused quite an uproar. People, it's interesting to note, living in the association, are all backing this Ms. Patrick. She's not a homeowner like the rest of them. She's renting, but they say, we know Nano, and Nano is no trouble here. We've had other neighbors who've said, I've got a cat that has more ornery than Nano. And but the post office isn't going to deliver mail until this animal is either destroyed or removed and no longer there at the property. What's interesting to note is that the post office is not even following, according to their guidelines, what they said would take place if there is an issue or a problem with a dog, which is the post office says, number one, the postmaster must call the dog owner immediately. That never happened. Number two, they need to send a series of progressive letters requesting that the animal ultimately be confined during deliveries. None of that happened as well either. And once that takes place, then service will be restored. But apparently the post office seems to be okay with not delivering any mail. And why? Just out of allegations at this point, we don't know anything else other than one person said, I'm just not going to deliver mail there anymore. Well, I think this is something we're going to have to cover in more detail on next week's show. But until then, have a great rest of the weekend, everybody. Look forward to seeing you here next Saturday.